Hey everyone. For today's video, we have Legacy No Bad Cards Temur Delver. The reason this deck is called No Bad Cards is Temur Delver goes back before Delver was even printed. It was a deck called Canadian Threshold long ago, and it played Nimble Mongoose and Stifle, and which are really good at taxing enemy mana while getting under their removal and counter spells, but sometimes Nimble Mongoose is just a 1-1. That's not very good. Sometimes Stifle doesn't have any targets, and that's not very good. So, a new build of this deck has been crushing Legacy for the last couple months, basically since Random 6 was printed, that has no bad cards. Theoretically, every card in this deck should always have some application at the time that you draw it. So, that's how they're building this deck these days. And it turns out that when you play a Legacy deck with only good cards in it, the deck gets good. So this deck, it won the Legacy Quarterly Challenge on Magic Online. It had multiple copies in the top 8 of Grand Prix Atlanta. I think 5 or 6 of the top 8 in Star City Syracuse Classic were Temur Delver. Like this deck is everywhere, and if it's not a deck you want to play, you definitely need to have a plan for it, because it is everywhere. This deck I'm going to play today is 74 of 75 of Jarvis Yu's top 8 list from Atlanta. I think his main deck's super sweet. He has 2 extra 1-drops, because the difference in games where Temur Delver can come up with a 1-drop on turn 1 versus casting Ponder or holding up Spell Pierce or something is just enormous. So Jarvis has 2 Hex Drinkers in his deck, which some lists have 1. Jarvis is the only one playing 2, but I like it. There's plenty of action on 2 already. Most have 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist, but Jarvis has only 1 with the 2 Hex Drinkers instead, because we're doing lots of good stuff on turn 2 anyway. And then I like his sideboard a lot. He is stacked pretty well for the Mirror and Depths. I cut one of his 2 Submerges for a Null Rod, though. Null Rod is very good against Bomberman, Cloud Post, Mystic Forge decks, Storm, Stoneblade decks. So there's a lot of places where Null Rod is really good. And with friend of the show and occasional teammate Cyrus Corman Gill winning the Grand Prix with Storm, it's back on the map. So I like having access to Null Rod. That's the only change I made from Jarvis's list, and I'm just going to try this as is from here. And here we are for round 1. We're on the draw with a hand that doesn't do anything. Remember when I said in deck build how smart Jarvis is for having an extra 1-drop in his deck? We only have a 3-drop. And Lightning Bolt along the way. Alright, this one is better. This hand has interaction and cantrips to at least find a threat. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to ship the Wasteland. I ship the Wasteland because we don't know what we're up against. If it turns out we're playing against Depths, I'm going to wish I had that. But if we were playing against the Mirror or something else with their own Wastelands and they waste my only blue source before I find a threat, then I'm going to be super glad I don't have Wasteland in hand. Verdant Catacombs is a rough start, though. This is certainly Depths. Alright. So they're going to take one of our cantrips, probably. Unless they're planning on winning next turn, then they'll take the Force. Alright, time to find a Wasteland. So I'm going to leave up this Brainstorm. I want to get max value out of my Brainstorm next turn. And I don't want them to be able to just run out a Vampire Hexmage this turn. So I'm going to hold up this Bolt in the meantime. Ooh, a Badlands. This might be Reanimator. Okay. Makes a lot of sense that they took Force. So it changes everything. I'm now really glad we didn't ponder on my turn digging for a wasteland or something that interacts with lands, because we just don't care about that. Alright, he's got Unmask here too. I could Brainstorm in response, or I could just let them take the Brainstorm. His counterspells are going to matter after this turn. Alright, I'm just going to let Unmask resolve and hope we're not dead. They only have a Chancellor in their graveyard, which is really good against Delver. Chancellor is not lights out against white decks, but it probably is against a deck like this, unless I can... If they have to pass the turn and I can get like a big enough Tarmogoyf happening, maybe. Though 5/6 is pretty big. Flying, and I can't cast Tarmogoyf this turn if they have this thing. Alright, so I could bolt now to get a card in my graveyard for... Alright, there is an instant in the graveyard. That doesn't matter. Threshold doesn't matter. Alright, in case I find a Brainstorm, I should keep this bolt in my hand. I could turn it into a meaningful card. The fact they had to pass the turn was big, though. Alright, we need a Force of Will. I would also accept Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, or Force of Negation. Another Ponder and a Threat. I'm going to take the Ponder because that gives us 4 more looks for one of our 4 forces. There's 3 more Force of Wills and 1 Force of Negation in the main deck still. Daze. How frisky am I feeling here? So I could daze something once and then never do anything relevant again. So I would present threats. That's pretty relevant. I'm going to keep the daze and hope they're scared. Entomb. Alright, I gotta hope the last card in their hand costs 2 mana, basically, because we can't beat Grizzlebrand. Like, 0%. Or Elish Norn. Yep, there's the Grizzle. Deece. Alright, so the last card in their hand was just drawn wild right off the top. Casting Lightning Bolt this turn will deal more damage than leveling up Hexdrinker once. Just gotta hope they brick for a couple more draw steps here. Cabal Therapy. Well, they know about the Lightning Bolt, so I'll fire off one of them. The other card they know about is True Name Nemesis, which is a little bit scary because they could reanimate that. But with Grizzlebrand in the graveyard, who cares? Alright. That's actually fine, because now if they cast Exhume, we have some action. Alright, this is the turn. We live or die right here. Alright. I'm going to cast the bolt because I want to be able to start leveling Hex Drinker. I'm going to cast the Delver and level Hex Drinker once. They can't cast Reanimate anymore. That's 4 of their hits out. F6. Hope we don't die. Exhume. Alright, so we get our true name back. So now if I draw Bolt, I can still win. Maybe I should have saved this Bolt to bolt a blocker. Alright, this is somehow not the worst, but it's also not good. Alright, so Hex Drinker, I can get it up to level 4 this turn. I would need it at level 8. So I could waste them to take some of their options away. With Grizzlebrand, they're definitely going to find another land if they choose to draw 7. But if they draw 7, they're dead to True Name Nemesis. Yeah, I think I'm just going to waste. Yeah, so we're basically just racing a 7/7 lifelink. I'm not sure they can afford to actually activate Grizzlebrand at all. And if our so they attack up to 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If our Delvers flip or we find a bolt, then we have lethal through 1 7-point swing. Oh, let's see what they're made of. Alright, if they can produce Elish Norn, we lose. If they can't, we're probably okay. Uh-oh. They're doing stuff. Like, the only creature currently in the graveyard is Chancellor, and they're dead if they bring that back. You'd have to Entomb and have a non-reanimate spell for Elish Norn. Alright, that's not Entomb, so that's good. Ashen Rider. I can beat that one. And they've made their land drop. Because we wasted them last turn, they're going to have to... Like, if they're going to Entomb and cast a 2-mana spell this turn, they need another Petal to do it. They're halfway through their deck, and there's 1 Petal in play, though, so... They're... Odds are they have another. Another looting. Bummer. That is a desperate play, though. That means they don't have it yet. And they packed it up. Nice. Just trusty old Rug Delver beats racing Grizzlebrand. Alright, so against this deck, we definitely want Grafdigger's Cage, Karakas. The crop rotation gets Karakas. Surgical Extraction. Return to Nature is Jarvis's sweet technology. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or exile a card in a graveyard. All good stuff. And of course we want Spell Pierce and Force of Negation. And then might want room for Sylvan Library. If we think the game's going to go long enough that we can activate that even once, it's going to be bananas. And then the blasts have utility. The blue blasts have utility, but they're not like great. They hit pretty much exactly Faithless Looting. So these are the definites. This is tier 2. This is tier 3. Let's see what we have room for. Lightning Bolt can definitely come out. Even though it was clutch that game. Thanks for your service, Lightning Bolt. I love you. Arcanist is probably good. True Name is a little slow. I'm just cutting all my MVPs from game 1. We got pretty fortunate just the way that game panned out, that the True Name and the 2 bolts were good. But afterboard, we're going to have a better plan than that. I want everything that counters a spell, so that stuff's untouchable. I think I can cut a Ren, because we're not really playing a long game here. We're just chugging away. And as far as 2-drops go, I think I'd rather have Library than Ren. So cutting a second Ren for Sylvan Library seems just fine. Arcanist is a little awkward. It's a non-bow with Grafdigger's Cage, but if I have Grafdigger's Cage in play, I'm pretty happy. So I'm okay having this one of not get along with this one of in my sideboard. So these are coming in. Does anything else change? I don't think so. I could cut this last Ren for a blue blast, but I think I would rather just have the option to take over in a mid game. Alright, I'm going to play it as such. Some blue or red-black Reanimator decks do splash blue, and they have like one Bayou in the deck, but they didn't show it to us, and I don't think this is a matchup where they'd bring it in, so I'm just not going to mess around with the Submerge. This hand's pretty solid. It has one more land in it than I'd want if this Volcanic Island was just like any other card, but we have 2 counter spells. Some Disruption, a cantrip. We've been unmasked. So if they can strip the force and then produce a creature, we're in all kinds of trouble. But if they strip the force and pass the turn, we're okay for a little while. Nice. Alright, I'm done drawing lands, please. Ponder, Delver, Goyf. Alright, so I don't want Goyf. I do want Ponder and Delver. Yeah, so hopefully they don't make me daze anything this turn. I mean, they know about the daze, so that... The cool thing about daze is once your opponent knows it's in your hand, it's like you get to daze every spell, because they have to play around it by just waiting until they have mana up. So you just daze every spell for the rest of the game instead of their turn 2 play. So I'm going to draw the Ponder next turn, play the Delver, cast the Ponder. Guess I should Ponder first in case I draw like Pierce or Snare. I would rather just hold that up. Though now Wasteland is on the menu. But that means I'm drawing Tarmogoyf. And Delver isn't flipping. Those are 2 things that I'm not excited about. Iona and Tyrant. Yeah, the way that graveyard just juiced up. So I can... If I Wasteland, then they have to have a 3 mana... Or a third land to cast a 2-mana spell. Or they need a second land to cast a 1-mana spell, and they can't cast a 2-mana spell into my daze. It also means they're farther away from flashing back Faithless Looting. The Tarmogoyf being on top is a bummer, though. It's just not actually a card I want at all. Alright, so I'm going to lead with Ponder and see where this goes. I'm not going to shuffle first because I want to be able to decide. Okay. Alright, glad we didn't keep that. Alright, so now that the Ponder didn't go anywhere, I'm definitely just going to waste this and try to keep this daze alive. Yeah, if that Ponder found basically like any spell at all, would have been okay. I'm going to let Thoughtseize resolve. Yeah, they can know that the coast is clear, I guess. Like, dazing this isn't free. It sets me back a land. Yeah, and I thought it was... I was just going to say, it's likely they just take Delver anyway. Because they can work their way through a daze over time, but having a threat. Speaking of which... Alright, here's Jarvis being smart, paying off. An extra 1-drop. Our opponent missed their land drop, so even if they have Reanimate, they're going to need to find something before they can cast it. Another mana source. That also means I probably have to daze a Lotus Petal if they play it. Okay. They just didn't have anything. Alright, Ponder, I'm so happy to see you. That was a great draw. Find me a counterspell, please. So I could shove this Dreadhorde Arcanist and just hope to fade another turn. Or I could shuffle my deck and hope to find something good. Because if we get a single turn with this Arcanist, we're going to win. But if they make a monster next turn, we're going to lose. You know what? Fortune favors the bold. So they knew last turn that my hand only had Daze for Disruption, and they still didn't cast a spell. Which makes me think that they only have 2-mana spells, and they're looking for a 3rd mana source to get through Daze. Better fetch the right land. So I'm just going to play my odds here that they don't draw a mana source versus I do shuffle and draw a relevant counterspell. If they are looking for a mana source, fetching in their upkeep is not the right time. Because now there's one less mana source in their deck. So that might indicate that they're looking for a reanimation spell, and they already have the mana sources. But why wouldn't they have played a land? Did they see the second Wasteland on their Thoughtseize? I think they did. Yeah, so they know about the second Wasteland. So maybe they were just slow rolling Badlands over there. Alright, it's in play now, and they know about the Wasteland, so I guess it's go time. Lake of the Dead, oh god. Alright, Daze is officially canceled. Oh, they're really going for it. Please hardcast Grave Titan. I beg of you. Are they flashing back looting with this? Oh my god. They hardcasting Grizzlebrand? Please hardcast Grizzlebrand. Please. Oh, this is a looting. Oh, that's a big commitment if they don't have it yet. Uh-oh, there's Grizzlebrand. also Entomb. Oh no, are they getting Elishnorn? I'm actually like pretty cool if they get Elishnorn, because I do have Crop Rotation and Karakas in my deck, and Elishnorn is not a very fast clock. Like, they would be much better off just getting Grizzlebrand. Wait, did they just concede? Alright, they were all dressed up with nowhere to go. I'll take it. GG's. Alright, so we're on the play for match 2. This hand doesn't have any disruption, but I have 2 Brainstorms, a turn 2 Ren and 6, a Wasteland, a Tarmogoyf. This is a... If you replace just like this Brainstorm with a Daze, this is the Delver nut draw. So, obviously keeping. I'm going to lead on Flooded Strand so everyone thinks I'm playing Miracles. That's mostly a joke, but I do play a lot of... Oh god, we're playing against Dredge. Alright, so I am going to Brainstorm looking for a counterspell here, because the way you beat Dredge with a blue deck is counter literally everything. Just any single thing that goes on the stack, shove a counterspell on it. Alright, so I have 4 days for Force of Will. That'll get the job done here. None of the above. Alright. That's rough. We probably lose now. I don't think I'm going to need a second Ren. I'm definitely not going to need another land, though, because I have the first Ren. Alright, fine. You have your stupid imp. Ren can pick off the imp, though, which is pretty cool, but that doesn't matter now that their graveyard's going to be full of juice. Killing imp is definitely... I think it's a better start than wastelanding the city and playing Hexdrinker. Alright, they can't get Threshold. They only have 5 cards in hand. They can discard a bridge from below and just make a zombie immediately. That would be a bummer. I guess if they have Street Wraith right now, they could dredge this troll. Oh, okay, just troll. Just troll. Oh, right. Let's see if they have a breakthrough or something that kills me immediately. Oh, there's a Thug. I was going to say they missed on Dredgers, but they did not. Careful study. We're in lots of trouble, team. They found an imp. Alright, they found 2 trolls. And they're going to discard troll and imp now. So, yeah, their graveyard is nice and juicy. Cabal Therapy. Okay. Let's see what the name is. We have 2 threats. They might just name Brainstorm in the dark. They know I don't have a counterspell because I would have countered the imp last turn and stopped this all from happening. True Name Nemesis. Alright. I don't have that one. That's the one I don't have. Alright, so I don't think Ponder actually does anything. I could play Hexdrinker minus Ren and kill their bridge. Just nuke my own Hexdrinker. But I can't play Tarmogoyf too because I only have 1 green source if I do that. I could plus Ren play both my threats. I could Brainstorm plus Ren, fetch away. But if I'm going to do that, I should plus first to maximize dead cards for Brainstorm. Yeah, I can do the blow up Hexdrinker play anytime. But the problem is, can I do it anytime before I'm just dead? Okay, they can flashback looting next turn with a third mana source if I don't waste them. Alright, I'm going to cast Ponder and see what happens. Delver, Spell Snare, Flooded Strand. Delver is another thing I can kill with Ren if I need to destroy bridges next turn. Alright, so I'm going to take the Delver. Now I have to decide if I'm playing 2 threats or wasting and playing 1 threat. I think I'm going to just play both threats. Alright, so I can clear bridges next turn. Let's just hope we're not facing down a zombie army already before that point. In this super safe, like playing to not lose would have involved blowing up one of my creatures' turn to clear bridges. Oh god, they're Hogaak. Alright, none of these things came into play though, so they could hardcast Narcomoeba and just go off here though. Oh, they hardcast a Thug. Yeah, maybe Wasteland would have broke that up, but I don't know. I played to win instead of to not lose. Maybe that's not right in game 1. Maybe not losing is winning in game 1. But now they have... Oh, they still only have 1 bridge. That's lucky. Okay. So they know about Goyf and Brainstorm here. Yeah, if they had 2 bridges and just cast Hogaak and like Therapied for 2 more zombies and cast Hogaak again, I would just absolutely lose the game on the spot. But we might have a little bit of breathing room here since they only have 1 bridge. They do get to shred our hand into nothing with their therapies, though, if they want to. Yeah, there goes the Goyf. Alright, they didn't want to. Daze, yes. Dazing Hogaak sounds pretty good. Sign me up. I can... Oh, I have a backup Ren, it's fine. I was going to say if I kill my Hex Drinker, then I don't get the value. I'm going to attack first, because if they block, then I still get to keep Ren. Wow, they're doing it. Alright. I was going to kill my own thing for free, but this cleared out their creature. Alright, so Daze gives us a little bit of wiggle room. Alright, they found another bridge. Still no Narcomoebas. Or Icarids. This has been a kind of a weird game, but I like it. Because it means I have a chance. Or I basically should not have a chance. Ooh. I just clicked on Wasteland instead of on Ponder. Whoops. Alright, Spell Pierce and Delver. I'm not going to shuffle this. So this just increases my clock. I'm drawing Spell Pierce, which gives me a second Daze, basically. Because they currently have no mana, so Daze is Force of Will. And Spell Pierce is just Counterspell. Alright, they found an Icarid. Still didn't find an Archimeeba. They're almost 40 cards into their deck without an Archimeeba. Which is pretty exciting because I can't beat an Archimeeba. Ooh, tough choice. What does this do to the clock? So, alright, I have 2 Wrens. Alright, yes, I do want to flip this and I'll just counter their spells. I was thinking about nuking their bridges because 2 more of their 3 remaining bridges are present and accounted for now. Alright, if we find Lightning Bolt, we just win though. So I'm going to start with that. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. I'm 1 short if I minus both Wrens on them. I'm just going to dig for the win aggressively here. Alright. Put these Wrens back. I can still ponder. I have 1 more look at Lightning Bolt. And I can still hold up Spell Pierce and Daze if I take that line. Show me the Bolt. Lame. I think I am just going to kill this Delver, though, and clear their bridges. I haven't activated this, right? Nope. Good. Wow, Run at 6 is a messed up card. Alright, they finally found an Icarid. Lucky. Oh, there's an Archimeeba also. Those cards don't cast Hogaak because this is not a black or green creature. Alright, and we did it. Wow, we definitely got pretty fortunate that game. Now, there's lots of games where Dredge is just like, on their first Dredge, they hit like 3 Narcomoebas, 2 Bridge from Belows, and a Dread Return or whatever. And then like sometimes they just don't hit a Narcomoeba or Icarid in the top 40 cards of their deck. I'm pretty happy about both versions of that. Alright, so all of our graveyard disruption. Caracas can mess with a Hogaak. I like that. They did not show me forests, so I'm not doing that. They did show Breakthrough and Careful Study. So these are maybes. Spell Pierce is a definitely. Grudge, Null Rod, Crop Rotation. I probably have to bring in Crop Rotation with the Caracas because I actually just can't beat an 8/8. Alright, so True Name is slow. I want all my counter spells. I want some Lightning Bolts, but not all of them. Because I want to be able to bolt my own creatures to clear out bridges if necessary. Spell Snare. What does this hit out of their deck? Breakthrough for 1 if they hardcast Narcomoeba. Snare seems medium. Goyf's big. Daze is usually Force of Will in this matchup. So I currently have all the obvious ones ready. Sylvan Library is the last one that I kind of would like to make room for, but maybe I just can't. Yeah, I think this is fine. Alright, so our hand has a threat, some disruption, a cantrip. This is not great, but it's also not bad. It's possible I should be mulliganing more aggressively, but Also just like snap keeping a 7 against Dredge. Could freak them out. Oh dear. Or maybe we're just going to die on turn 1. Ball therapy. Okay. I'd be impressed if they hit here. They named Cage. Alright. We dodged. But now they know our hand doesn't have anything. It's time to draw Cage right off the top. Alright, I'm going to present a threat first, and I'll worry about pondering into hate next turn. Which might be too late. Honestly. But I will basically always err on the side of playing to win with these decks instead of playing to not lose. Oh god, that's active, isn't it? Alright, here comes the beats. You need blue mana, though. Yeah, this is why Dredge is so scary. They're doing all this messed up stuff and haven't actually used the stack to do it. Alright, so no bridges. Oh, those are the discards. No bridges, no more Narcomoebas, no Icarids. There is a Hogaak here. Alright, they're flashing that back. So they could take the Tarmogoyf. Do I care? Or do they take Daze? They might just take the Ponder. I'm gonna let this resolve. If their hand is like land breakthrough, if they take the Daze. Alright, they took the Goyf. Okay. So they just don't want to race. I can live with that. This turn I get to ponder looking for hate cards. Alright, let's find that Cage and just shut it down. Brainstorm, Arcanist. Definitely don't want Arcanist. I think I'm going to keep all these cantrips. Oh, I probably should have just played Valk. Because now all my red sources are in my hand, and I can't bolt bridges in response to stuff. Oh, I even found a bridge. Lame. Yeah, I definitely messed this up by not playing Volcanic Island. That would have given me a lot more play in this particular turn. So bridge, there's still only one though. It's more than 0. Right, they don't know about the Brainstorm. They can take the Daze or the Bolt. Well, I can't do anything about the Bolt because I can't cast it. Lightning Bolt. Alright, it's gone. Sniped me. They can't like cast Golgari Thug and cast Hogaak here because I got that covered. And now I can cantrip twice looking for hate. And Delver has come to life. I'm going to Brainstorm first. Don't want Arcanist, and I want this Valk back in my deck. I don't think jamming Tarmogoyf does anything important, because they're going to get Hogaak next turn, so I better find an answer to it. Force of Negation, what do you do? Nothing, because the 2 cards under it are unkeepable. Alright, we got it anyway, don't worry. Looks like the race is on. That was our window to find Grafdigger's Cage, and we did not get there. Hopefully they do something that is susceptible to Force of Negation this turn, but it's unlikely because all they have to do is like let their Icarids die end step and they get a bunch of zombies. And this build doesn't have engineered explosives or anything to clear that out. 2 more bridges, 2 more Narcomoebas. Yeah. We are all the way dead here. I'm just going to watch to see if they give me any other information. Like, I don't see Dread Return or anything like that. Alright. There's not a therapy in this graveyard either. So they're not casting Hogaak this turn. Unless they have another black creature from hand. But I can daze that. I've been sitting on this daze the whole game. Yeah. It doesn't matter because these are about to turn into a million zombies. And Narcomoeba blocks Delver, so we're dead. Yeah, alright. Concede. Yeah, we didn't find any hate that game. Didn't really mulligan for it either, though, so that might be fair. Alright, do it. Did my opinions about any of these things change? Force of Negation is pretty medium because it doesn't hit Hogaak or Putrid Imp. Maybe it's still better than the rest of these cards. And Sylvan Library is the card I would consider over it. I'm just gonna keep it as is. Alright, so we're on the play. We have a Daze, which is good. We have Ponder, that's good. Ren and Goyf are not super exciting. But I'm here for this Ponder Daze hand. Because, like, it's not like we have Leyline of the Void or Rest in Peace or something that's just lights out. Like, Grafdigger's Cage is our closest thing to lights out. And we only have 1. Like, I'm not going to mull to, like, a 5-card hand with Surgical Extraction. That doesn't do it. Alright, Hex Drinker is a good one to find. That gives us a 1-drop. So I just have to decide what order I want to draw these cards in. I'm probably going to have a target for Wasteland next turn. But I can't cast Hexdrinker and Wasteland because I led on Volk instead of Trop. Maybe I should have led on Trop just to maximize this possibility. I'm almost certainly dazing literally anything this turn. Alright, so I'm going to keep Hexdrinker, Spell Pierce. That way if I don't end up dazing anything this turn, I can Hexdrinker with Spell Pierce back up next turn. Yeah, it is. I should have kept that Wasteland. What am I doing here? Okay, no. So I'm going to hold up Spell Pierce this turn. And then I can waste next turn. Like, if I just waste there, maybe they can't play the game anymore. I don't know. I'm willing to believe I've messed up this ponder in sequencing somehow. They're probably going to name Tarmogoyf. They have every other time. That's fine. Or they named Cage first last time. But I would have jammed Cage if I had it. They named Surgical Extraction. Alright, swing and a miss. So if they have Putrid Imp, they can cast it here. Alright, so now I can play Hex Drinker with Spell Pierce back up, or I can waste them and hope for the best. I have to get a threat into play. I'm not winning this game where I don't attack. And this also opens up the line where I can Ren ping this thing if they do get some bridges into their graveyard next turn. Plus they're bleeding out to their own lands over there while they're not dredging and they have to cast spells. Just like a thug. Just hard cast thug. Yeah, that works. I can live in that world. So I can waste one of their lands and cast Goyf. Or I could cast Goyf, leaving up Spell Pierce and not waste one of their lands. It's interesting decisions to make here. I'm not attacking because I don't want this thug in their graveyard. Yeah, I'm just going to cast Tarmogoyf. Hold up Spell Pierce. Like, once I get a ton of damage on the board, I can, like, ping Thug with Ren and just crunch. Oh, right. They had Therapy in their graveyard. I knew all that. Alright, so they can... Do they know about Spell Pierce? I don't know. They can take the Ren or the other Goyf. They probably have to take Ren because they're just going to lose. Oh, they did know about Spell Pierce. Okay. Alright, so now they have a yard full of dredgers. Let's hope we don't lose. Oh no, now they can take the Ren. Let's see if they respect Ren or Goyf more. It's actually kind of interesting because Goyf kills them, but Ren takes them off all their lands. Alright, so I could waste. That's got to be good, right? So I attack for 6 twice. If I just minus Ren, I'm actually on a 2-turn clock, but I think it's more likely that I get more time if they just have no permanence. Alright, it's go time. It's how good are they at dredging versus... Alright. They're on a... After our game 1 where they had no Narcomoebas in their top 40, now they have 2 in their top 20. Narcomoeba's not great though. It does cast those therapies, but they don't have bridges. Narcomoebas get pinged by Ren. They also don't cast Hogaak. They don't know about this brainstorm in my hand, and in order to learn about it, it would cost them all of their board. Let's see how good they are at blind therapy. Oh, did they therapy themselves? That makes sense. Okay, so they dumped a bridge. Now they can turn this Narcomoeba into a zombie. Their hand is Narcomoeba, Thug, Thug, Troll. Alright. Alright, so I don't care about Hogaak now, but I also just already didn't care about Hogaak. I could make Hexdrinker a 4/4, though I'm pretty sure I'll be better off brainstorming for some kind of action. Force of Negation, you are not helpful here. So I don't need this Trop. I don't need any of these lands because I have Ren. So if I attack with Goyf, what happens? They exchange their... Or maybe I need to zap my Hexdrinker this turn. Oh, I have another one. Okay. A line is presenting itself. Alright, I'll put those two back. Cast this. Kill this. Get rid of that bridge. Attack for half of their life total. Bonus Hexdrinker. Alright, leveling that might have been wrong. Because now they don't have to think about Spell Pierce or anything. Alright, so they hit a Hogaak, which makes me really glad we got rid of the first bridge, because now they can't just therapy into Hogaak. And they scooped it. We did it. We beat Dredge in 2 games where we played no hate at all. Just fair and square. Ugh. Don't try this at home, kids. All right, round 3, we are on the play, which is where you always want to be as a Delver deck. So we have a turn 2 Ren with Force backup. If this is an aggressive matchup or any sort of creature-based matchup, we have Double Bolt. If it's a combo deck, we have Force, and if it's a fair deck, we have Ren. So I'm going to keep this. It doesn't have like an actual threat that deals damage, but I like where this is going. I'm not going to cast Ponder this turn because... Oh, Chancellor of the Annex. Okay, now I'm definitely not going to cast Ponder this turn. It's a good thing we're on the play. So I'm just going to play this Volcanic Island and pass the turn, and we can interact with them even through the Chancellor. So let's hope we're not dead. This is Reanimator again. It's so nice when they show you a card out of their hand on turn 1. Because then you don't have to wonder what you're playing against. They just tell you. It's like looking at extra cards without the penalty. All right, we just gotta hope they don't also have an unmask. Like, just... They gotta believe Chancellor's good enough here. Though this hand doesn't go anywhere quickly after all of this happens. Like, even if they do just jam a Reanimate spell into my Force here, and it's just like, okay. Now I have 2 Lightning Bolts and a Ren and 6 against your Grizzlebrand. Just gotta hope their hand is bad. We'll know a lot about their hand when this looting resolves. Alright, so they discarded the Chancellor and an extra land. So they didn't find a better Reanimate target than this. Ugh. FML. Alright, they're going to take our forest, then we probably lose. I'm not going to give them a 2-for-1. Like, once I cast the Force of Will, I lose the Ponder, and they're just going to jam anyway. That was a smart sequencing. Alright, so I'm going to bolt right now to break the first Chancellor bubble. We're going to have to play through a bunch of other Chancellor bubbles now that they have a Chancellor. But this at least livens up our Force of Will in the future. They are also at 13, so a 1-drop threat would be cool. Wasteland's not what I'm looking for. Alright, so the race is on. They pitched an Entomb for their Unmask, which tells me they either don't have other black cards, or they just think this is going to get there on its own. Doesn't need any help. I really need to draw a Tarmogoyf to have a chance here. Cabal Therapy, oh no. So we're losing Ren, but I am going to get this bolt damage in where I can. Like, we're never going to get to a point where we can double bolt this Chancellor. That's just not real life. It's also a shame that Moto does this remembers this trigger for them, because most opponents just won't remember it in real life. So we're losing Ren, but we're going to draw Tarmogoyf, and the race is on. No problem. I would also accept Dreadhorde Arcanist, I guess. I don't think we're winning this one. Ooh, another bolt. Let's fling some more fire. Maybe they'll try to reanimate a Grizzlebrand this turn. And die for their sins. So they're attacking me to 9. Even if I draw Goyf next turn, I go to 4, then they go to 5, then I die. So I'm losing this race no matter what happens. I just want to see if I can learn a little more about how they play this deck. And I'm just going to leave the line open there if they want to try to reanimate a Grizzlebrand. They have a couple more chances to do that. Oh, please do it. Please do it. Entomb Reanimate. It was a weird thing to play if you weren't going to do anything with it. Oh, they're entombing now. Get that Grizzle. Elish Norn also kills them. If they reanimate it. If they animate dead or exhume it, then they're fine. Alright, it's Grizzlebrand. Right, we have a Force of Will now. This would be an absolute travesty of justice if we win this game. Please cast Reanimate. They're too smart. Just for the record, I think it would be absolutely insane to cast Reanimate here. There's no reason. If you have Exhume or Animate dead, that's defensible, but do not cast Reanimate in this spot if you're the Reanimator player. Now they just have to attack. There's not even anything left to play. But I'm going to give them the chance. Alright, they're in combat. We're dead. Alright, yeah, that was definitely a big case of Game 1 cards being really bad in this matchup, which is what Reanimator is counting on. Well, we've done this once already, so we should be good at it. Bolts, true names, Wrens. That's exactly what we did last time, I think, and I'm pretty sure I still like it. It maximizes disruption without cutting any of our leaner threats. Yeah, let's go. Alright, we got a juicy keep here. We got our one of Ren and 6. We have disruption, we got cantrips. I'm here for this. They're on 6. So I'm not going to cast Ponder this turn. You know, I'm definitely not, if they show me a Chancellor, that's a no-brainer. But even if they don't show Chancellor, I'd rather hold up Brainstorm. Because if they do unmask me, take the Force, I still want to have some sort of action that might result in a counterspell. So basically, like, passing with 2 instants into their likely 1 discard spell is somewhere I want to be. Alright, they're down to 5. Alright, so they're good on 5. They did not reveal a Chancellor. So I'm not going to respond to a discard spell if they cast one. For the reason I said. Like, if you respond with your Brainstorm and then they just, like, take the Force of Negation, then you're just out of gas. I could Ponder here. I have a lot of extra lands I don't really want. I don't really want this Ren either. I'm going to save this again. Because now I can Brainstorm end step if they don't do anything, and I can full value Brainstorm if they strip my Force. I do need to get a threat into play. Like, I am not a Miracles deck. I'm not going to grind them into nothing then win somehow. I do need to start pressuring them. So hopefully in the end step we can Brainstorm looking for some action. I don't think I've drawn a Spell Snare yet in this league. Just thought of that. That's a card in our deck. That's very good against most of the field at this point. Alright, they're over there running the numbers of what can I beat, what do I lose to. Which is great, because if they were moving quickly, we'd be dead. Oh, there's the unmask. Alright. So this can strip the Brainstorm. Alright, so if they have a chance to go for it this turn, they'll strip the Force. If they're not going for it this turn, they'll take the Brainstorm. I kind of hope they do take the Force, because this hand wants this Brainstorm. Alright, they took the Force. Alright, I'm thankful for that. Jeez, just jamming that Caracas right in the hand. All natural. So I'm going to put these 2 back and fetch. I'm keeping the Fiery Islet. Oh no! I fetched the wrong land. Hopefully I don't lose because of that. I'm keeping the Fire Islet because I have Ren and 6, though. Embarrassing stuff. So Return to Nature is a hot one. Alright, so I'm just going to hold up Return to Nature and Daze this turn. Yeah, grabbing that wrong land was bad. But I can use Ren to regrow and then have lands for next turn. Alright, their third land drop is both good and bad. It's good because it means that Daze probably... It's bad because Daze is bad now, but it's good because... It's good because they don't want to play 3 lands ever, and their hand's probably bad. Alright, so I'm just going to play Ren, regrow a different land, and now I can draw a card in their end step with Fire Islet if they don't do anything, and I'm holding up all of my interaction if they do something. So they have only 4 cards in their hand, and they don't have a monster in the graveyard. Alright, there's a Bayou, so worth noting for possible Submerge shenanigans in the future. Alright, let's get this train running. Alright, so... I'm just going to rebuy the Islet again. I could ponder... I think I'd rather just cast Hexdrinker. That's I can... I'm just going to hold on to the ponder. Oh, they just scooped a Hexdrinker. It's too good. Alright, so our fun of Ren and 6 that we left in the deck just took over that one. I don't think I'm changing anything about my deck here. Yeah, same plan, let's go. So we're on the draw. This hand, if this hand had even 1 land, I would be running circles around the table, jumping up and down. Just literally any card at random, turn it into a land. But as it stands, we're going to have to mulligan. Because their deck can beat a Force of Will pretty easily. Oh, they also kept 7. Blech. Alright, this is the hand I described. This is that same hand with a land instead. Alright, so they did not have Chancellor. Oh, leading on Bayou, punishing me for not bringing in the Submerge. Xantid Swarm. Shit. I guess I have to kill this thing, huh? That's a weird card to have in Reanimator. I don't approve of this. So I could force it, or I could just play Delver and block it. I guess I have to force it, huh? I'll pitch one of the Delvers. I still have Daze to interact next turn. There's a pretty good Hymn to Tarak there. Oh, there's the Spell Snare that we hadn't drawn yet in this league. All right, turn 1 Delver is exactly where I want to be. I got Daze. My whole hand is blue 1 or 0 drops. Alright, so what I want to happen here is they cast nothing, and then I draw Wasteland, and they lose. But they did keep 7, but maybe they kept it just because they had Bayou's Xantid Swarm on the play. I don't know. Weird stuff. I've never seen Xantid Swarm in one of these lists in my entire life. Maybe I'm just behind technology, or maybe we're playing against an adventurer. Alright, so now they know about Spell Snare. I'm not going to cast this Brainstorm now because if I miss on land and just am not holding up Spell Snare instead of holding up Spell Snare, that's going to suck a lot. Come on, land. Oh, yeah, that'll do. The flip side of this Wasteland, though, is it means that Spell Snare is probably going to be dead this game. Splat. Alright, they might be trying to go to discard to get a monster in their graveyard. Though I'm not sure if that's more likely than they just don't have another land. But they kept 7. Why? Why would they keep 7 that doesn't do anything? I don't know. We'll see where this goes. This game has been really weird so far. Okay, so they did just go to clean up and discard Elish Norn. Alright, I'm going to play the Wasteland. They know about Spell Snare. They don't know about Daze or Brainstorm. Alright, so they can get a basic swamp here. Rutrow. There's a cool trick you can do here, though. If they cast off the Lotus Petal. So if they cast Reanimate off Lotus Petal, I can waste their Marsh Flats, and in response to the fetch, I can daze them. Let's see if that comes up. Nope, they wisely made their land, played their cards in the right order. That only really works against decks with lots of non-basics. Because if they can fetch basic swamp, you obviously just do that. So Reanimate does put them to 3, but I do not have any lightning bolts in my deck right now. Alright, crop rotation. Praise Allah. That's what we were looking for. Alright, so Elish Norn's going to happen. We're going to lose our thing. They're at 3. But we can crop rotate for Caracas. I would have to daze the Thoughtseizer to rest here because I need this crop rotation. Alright, we can even just rotate this Wasteland that's not doing any good here. That's sweet. Then we're going to need to find a threat. So I can take 4 just fine. I'm going to hold up my counter spells and stuff and my Wasteland, see where this turn goes before I start doing anything different. Maybe they think the coast is clear and they'll reanimate another thing and die. Like, I really want to bounce this thing end step so I can have all my mana available on the following turn when they try to redeploy it. Alright, now Wasteland as a target, so that might change my math. It also might not, so we'll see. Looting is fine. That's why I did let. That's why I took 4. Like, if they could just loot away Elish Norn and just be fine, just put it right back into play. End stepping that thing has a lot of value. Are there any red cards that I care about in my deck right now? I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to rotate with this crop rotation. I think it just has to be Wasteland, as much as I don't really want it to be. But yeah, keeping my colors active is probably more important. Unmask targeting me. Alright. I'll get the Caracas here. Then they get to look at all of my wonderful cards in hand. Bummer. Alright, so they get to strip my Return to Nature if they want to. That's the best card in my hand. I imagine they're going to take it. I could have Return to Nature the Faithless Looting or the Lotus Petal in response to this, but then I don't have red, which I'm not sure if I even care about. Maybe I should have Returned to Nature the Faithless Looting in response to Unmask, because looting puts Elish Norn back in their graveyard where they want it. But I have Caracas, so I don't even care. Like, they can put Elish Norn into play every turn of the game. Yeah, they're going to need a non-legend to get through this. Come on, Tarmogoyf. That's not Tarmogoyf. But it's pretty good, though. Alright, now we are just officially Temur control. That one of Ren and 6 would actually be pretty good here. Alright, there's another looting. I'm not going to fight over this. I'm going to fight over the enablers. Or the payoffs. Because, like, if I counter this, it's still just in the graveyard for it to get flashed back. And they already have one here in flashback mode. Uh-oh, Grave Titan. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. Like, I would rather make sure that Grave Titan doesn't come into play than burn all my counters on this thing. Come on, Tarmogoyf. I'd also accept Delver or Hexdrinker. Alright, so I have lots of counter spells now. Cabal Therapy might be kind of rough, but I don't think they name days with it. They would name Spell Snare. So they know I can counter a 2-drop straight up. Alright, well that's pretty good. Unmask Pitching Thoughtseize. Okay. Yeah, so I just have this wall of counter spells, but none of it matters if they can dance through it. Like if the last card in their hand is like if they strip the Spell Snare and then go like Dark Ritual Exhume, is that good enough? So any spell they cast would cost 4 more to resolve. And they only have 3, and one of it's Lotus Petal. So, like, if we get a threat soon, I'm going to feel a lot better about this whole situation. But right now, we're hurting here. Definitely getting this in. Like, maybe they did that as bait, but it's the best kind of bait because it's the kind of bait that you also need to counter. Come on, Delver. Hex Drinker. Basically, all of my threats are lethal in one turn. They're at 3. Any threat. Gah. Even Renin 6 is just a 3-turn clock because it has 3 loyalty and we just go down, down, down. Scrubland. God, what are all these colors? There's 4-color Reanimator over here. Alright, I'm going to play my land now because I'm 1 away from hard casting force. Alright, cool. They think Dark Ritual will get them around my soft counters, but they don't know about my hard counter. Though if they have Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Exhume, I'm in trouble. Though, if it's Exhume, I get my Delver back, which beats Grave Titan. If it flips in a reasonable time frame. It would have to be Animate Dead. Exhume. Ugh. So I could just let this happen. Like, I get back Delver. They get back Grave Titan. Then if Delver flips, I win. Or what's the clock if Delver doesn't flip? They attack for 10. I'm on a 2-turn clock. Any spell on top of my deck in the next 2 turns wins the game. I could also just Force of Will this. Oh, this is tough. So if they draw... I'm just going to let this happen. Let's go. Alright, Delver. You know your mission. And I have a fetch land to mix up the Delver look once. And I can force a removal spell if they somehow have a removal spell. God, I hope this works. This is so much fun. Wonder if they're going to flashback looting with this floating mana. Nope, just let it go. Alright, Delver. Reward my faith. Volcanic Island, no! 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, I do have a fetch. I have a little bit of breathing room here. Dreadhorde Arcanist is my only red card. I have lots of good green cards. Come on, Ponder, Cantrip, Brainstorm. Something to set up Delver. Oh no. I might get punished. The sweat is real. We're going to 4 here. All right, 1 look to rule them all. I'm gonna Spell Pierce that for sure. I don't want them to find, like, land Abrupt Decay. That would be the worst. Alright, Delver, please. Please, Delver. What do you got for me? Yes! Tight Delver magic. Ding, 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 ding. Count it. That was too close. So it's round 4, and we're playing against the same person who was on Dredge earlier. I'm pretty sure. This is definitely a person we played against already today. So if they're on Dredge, we have to mulligan this hand. This hand's even worse. Oh god. Alright, we might have made a mistake. I'm just going to keep this hand because it's functional. Lightning Bolt Delver can clear some number of bridges. Daze can counter a spell. Alright, I'm going to keep this. Lightning Bolt can kill a Putrid Imp if that's what they're doing. Oh, maybe this was a Reanimator player. Either way, we needed to mulligan those hands. Oh no, it's straight up actual Hogaak. And this Lightning Bolt is going to go to town. I think you're supposed to sequence that differently. You know, I played Hedron Crab decks back when they were in Standard. There was a, like, quote-unquote Dredge deck in Standard that was pretty sweet. And to play around removal, I think you're supposed to play Hedron Crab on turn 2 and then immediately make a land drop when you have priority. Bummer. Alright, so this is actual factual Hogaak. There's our one of Preordain. We haven't drawn that yet today either. So I got to get a threat into play. I'm not going to win the control game against Hogaak. I'm not going to block the Stitcher Supplier either. Our Lightning Bolts and counterspells did stop an absurd number of cards from hitting the graveyard. Hopefully it was enough to actually slow them down. Alright, so if they... this is a zombie, isn't it? Alright, I'd rather daze the Hogaak than this. Alright. Alright, Delver is alive. I'm going to cast Preordain here because I want every card in my hand. You cast Brainstorm when you want to change your hand and Preordain when you just want velocity. So 5/5. Alright. I'm not going to win this game by not attacking, so let's go. They have one card left in their hand. They know we have Force of Will now, which is nice because it upgrades this Daze that was running out of targets. Ugh. Alright, they found a Hogaak and a Gravecrawler. And their last card in hand was also Gravecrawler. Okay. So I can force the Gak if they choose to play it. Alright, looks like they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can't replay it this turn if I force it. Not that this is a great situation for me to be in anyway. As if they draw a fetch land. Or just like next turn they can make their 8/8. I'm not sure how I even race this. I don't think that I can. In subsequent games, I'm gonna need Caracas to just check Hogaak while I fight through the little guys. Or I could just draw a Grafdigger's Cage, that would be great. We're so dead. Another Delver. Alright, is there a winnable race here? So I attacked them to 13. They attacked me to dead on board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they put me to 3. Then Delvers flip. I put them to 7. Yeah, there is not a winnable race here, so we're dead. That was brutal. Yeah, this deck is very good against fair blue deck game ones for sure. Alright, so for the 4th time in this league, let's bring in our Graveyard Hate package. This one is a little different though, because Force of Negation is not a good card, and Submerge probably is playable. All of their things are creatures, so Force of Negation is actually kind of bad. I'm pretty sure I do want the Sylvan Library. Yeah, they don't have any red or blue spells. I guess Hedron Crab, but that's not the fight I'm going to have. So True Name Nemesis can come out. Ren and 6 can come out. This should look pretty familiar by now. Dreadhorde Arcanist actually seems really good. On the play, I want my Dazes, though they are worse here than they've been in other versions. So maybe I'll go 1 less, and I'll cut some number of bolts. Just have to decide. Maybe Spell Pierce is worse than Bolt. Spell Snare also not great. All my cards are bad. Alright, I want to max out on bolts actually, so I can actually win a race. Just burn them out. Oh, I'm already bringing in another Spell Pierce. I don't want that. So that means I can keep a Daze? Or do I want to keep a True Name? Probably a True Name, because if I'm going to count on Caracas to check Hogaak, I'm going to need a real ground force to push damage. Yeah, I think this is fine. Alright, let's do this. This is definitely the scariest version of all the graveyard decks we've played against yet today. Alright, so we're on the play. I can ponder, and I've turned 2 Sylvan Library. I'm going to keep this. If they lead on Crab again, I have the Bolt. Ponder's got options. I just need to find a threat with my Ponder and in a reasonable time frame with my library. I'm not sure if this hand's keepable on the draw, but luckily we don't have to think about that right now. Alright, there's some threats. So if I draw the Volcanic Island now, I can draw Tarmogoyf next turn, jam that. Then on the following turn, Hex Drinker plus other things. Oh, there's that supplier. Milled a Bloodghast and an Altar, so Goyf just got large. It's already a 4/5 on turn 2. Oh, they figured out how to sequence Hedron Crab. Now we're in trouble. Okay, sweet. They found a forest, so Submerge is live. Oh no, Vengevine. Goyf's bigger. Get wrecked. Yeah, there's Gravecrawler. Here comes Vengevine. Oh no, also Hogaak. This is a pretty reasonable turn too from our opponent, I gotta say. Good thing we're drawing Hex Drinker. That's that's doing what it needs to on this board. Alright, so how do I win this game? It definitely involves Sylvan Library. So I'm going to cast Library off these. Hold up Bolt and Submerge. Maybe I'm supposed to Bolt Hedron Crab right now. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, so Goyf's a 5/6. It can tangle with everything except Hogaak. Cabal Therapy. I don't think they're going to name Submerge. At least I hope not. That would be pretty messed up. They named True Name Nemesis. Alright. That wasn't it. So they're going to flashback, and then I'm going to Submerge Hogaak in response to the flashback. They should flashback sacking Hogaak. That would be the 1000 IQ play. So now they get to Therapy Me, take the Hex Drinker, sack Stitcher Supplier, mill 3, redeploy Hogaak. Wow, this deck is fucked. Oh, they even hit a Gravecrawler. Good. So there's one creature. So they have another one from hand for Vengevine and Hogaak. Alright, they don't. Alright, Caracas is here. Ooh. All of these are bad, every single one. So I'll put back the Wooded Foothills. So if I pay 4, what happens? I'm at 11. These beats continue. I think I have to get through my deck somehow, though. Ugh, I'm not sure if that was right, but there it is. I'm going to play Fiery Islet because I don't need to bounce a legend this turn because Hogaak does not have haste. Alright, so I attack for 5. I take definitely 6, maybe 10, and I go to 1. Alright. Guess I'm taking another turn off here. I have to get Grafdigger's Cage and like a significant more ground presence before anything else matters here. Right, I'm going to block Bloodghast because that doesn't count as casting a creature spell for Vengevine. Gravecrawler does. Oh god. Alright, then Hogaak is covered, as it were. Jesus. Alright, this deck's a nightmare. Alright, just gotta get a card deeper here. dead. I put 2 back. I bounce Hogaak. Block here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's still 8. I don't actually have a way out of this. What? Got him. That was the wrong block. It just doesn't matter. Alright, yeah, we're dead. Alright, so you definitely need to aggressively mulligan for hate against this deck. Like, we managed to play fair and square against Dredge that one time, but Hogaak hits harder than Dredge, which seems insane to say, but that card is, it got 3 cards banned in Modern for a reason. Yeah, you definitely can't play fair. You can't beat the 8-8 on their fair plan, and you can't beat the combo on their unfair plan. So, rough times. Alright, final match. We're going to keep this. We're on the play. Got a Spell Pierce, turn 2 Ren. This hand's pretty robust. It doesn't have a 1-drop, but it has interaction against combo, interaction against creatures, it's got a threat, and it's got a long game fair plan in Ren and 6. So I let on Polluted Delta instead of Wooded Foothills because Polluted Delta could be any blue deck. Wooded Foothills is only Temur Delver. Like, this used to be like a game where like you play Wooded Foothills and then your opponent cracks their fetch land and then you fetch to get Stifle because this is not a blue fetch land and people used to fall for that. But those days are gone. Everyone knows. Like, Wooded Foothills is only in Temur Delver. I play Elves sometimes, which is a green deck, and I still don't have Wooded Foothills in my deck because I don't want everyone thinking I'm Temur Delver. Alright, so Snow Plains, Preordained, top bottom. I'm going to pass another turn here, and then next turn I can cast Ren and 6 with Spell Pierce backup. Like, Force of Negation only working on your opponent's turn does come up sometimes. If that was Force of Will, I would have shoved Ren right there. Huh. I'm going to mess with that. Alright, so I'm actually going to jam True Name here. Because True Name gets answered by the fewest things they could have in this spot. Like, there's no Spell Pierce, there's no Spell Snare. I doubt they're a Daze deck. Force of Negation doesn't work. They have to have Force of Will. They can't let it resolve and plow it. So it's like Force of Will or this is just in play. Alright, got him. And we have Force of Negation for their turn. Like, Back to Basics is pretty much the scariest thing they could cast this turn. Though Narset's also pretty rough. But I have Bolt for Narset, so... And True Name just attacks it, so... Planeswalkers are actually fine here. But, like, Back to Basics would definitely eat a Force. Alright, I'm not going to force a negation the Brainstorm. The Spell Pierce was just like a cheeky little 1-for-1. But force a negation, I'm going to save that for a spell I really care about now. Especially now that I have this card that only gets answered by a small number of cards in the format. I'm saving this force for those cards. A Bayou. Alright, so they are the 4-color snow deck of some variety. Duress. Are they just like Storm with a snow plains? Or a snowland? I guess that's a defensible thing. Alright. I'm not going to force this. It's possible we just died a storm here. Okay, they took the Brainstorm. That's interesting. It's more likely that they're a control deck. But why would a control deck play Duress over all the other options? Drawing a blue card to go with our force is nice. I'm not going to play the Delver for that reason. Like I want to have this force up. Because a lot of the times combo players will take your cantrip and then try to navigate the counter spells. Like it's better to work through known problems than unknown problems in a lot of spots. So I'm going to move forward as if this is a combo deck for now. They definitely hooked me with the Snowland, though. I hate that in Legacy right now it's just strategically correct to play Snowlands, even if you're not doing anything with them. I was like, if this was Thoughtseize, I would still just think they're 4-color control. But Duress is a pretty big indicator that they're on that combo line. Oh, the snake. Hexdrinker is pretty cool because I can increase my clock and still hold up this force. Like I don't have to deploy Delver. I'm not going to level it right now because now I can hold up Force of Negation Hardcast and Lightning Bolt. Maybe I should have played Delver. So, Thoughtseize. Alright, they can Thoughtseize me. So it's possible we just lose here, but their life total is pretty low, so like Ad Nauseam's off the table. Got to figure out what's even happening here. These are, and it's yeah, it was definitely Storm. D-Tutor, or Infernal Tutor, getting LED. So the hand is 2 LEDs and probably another Tutor. Or Past in Flames, that would also do it. Hey, yeah, they had 2 good discard spells, well timed. They took the right things. Alright, so 7, 8, 9, yeah, we're just dead. Alright, so we're playing against Storm. Finally get to play this Null Rod I put into the deck against Jarvis's wishes. Surgicals, Red Blast, Sylvan Library, Return to Nature, Force of Negation, Spell Pierce. I'm not bringing in Hydroblast just for Past in Flames. Doesn't do much against Empty the Warrens. Alright, so I got 9 cards here. Lightning Bolts, True Names. Again, we've played against just 5 combo decks in this league. So the sideboarding is going to look really similar. Maybe I want to keep Arcanist and cut a Wasteland. I mean, this looks pretty presentable. Alright, let's go. Okay, so this hand has Force of Will, but it does not have a threat. I know Jarvis likes to aggressively mulligan for Force of Will 1-drop hands, but I think I have to keep... I don't know. I'm going to keep this. That's rough. Motobug. Just shuffled that away. Yeah, this hand also lacks green. Maybe this was a mulligan. I'm already feeling bad about this keep. Storm is a bad matchup for Rug, though. Like, to be clear, you would think a deck with a quick clock and good disruption would be a bad matchup for Storm, but it's not. Like, their discard spells are usually enough to keep you off. Okay, we're in business. A green source off the top is clutch. And now Sylvan Library is kind of the fun game in this matchup, too, because your life total doesn't matter until it does. Like, you're not going to be taking chip shots from, like, Tarmogoyfs or Delvers in this matchup, obviously, but you might just... You don't want to let them just, like, Dark Rituals, Tendrils you for 6 is lethal, either. Show me a threat. Ugh. I think I am going to go to 12 to keep all this, though. You get one big spew before you have to worry about it. And I really need to find a threat. Okay, cool. Alright, I'm going to jam. I have 2 counter spells here, so a single duress effect is not going to beat me, and then I have surgical coming off the top next turn for another piece of disruption. Right, this wasteland got him fetching basics over there. And that can come up. Like this turn, if they're not ready to go off, if they like cantrip into another cantrip. Alright, so here's where having 2 counter spells and plus an extra blue card comes in handy. They took the negation because that's more castable on its own. I could just hard cast it next turn. I don't want all these lands. Because I'm good on lands. Lots of those. I should probably jam Ren here. Maybe I should have played Fire Islet if I was playing Ren this turn. So I attack for 3. I'm deciding if I'm going to plus or minus Ren. Should probably just plus. So I have Hardcast Force of Will next turn at the ready. So they know about Force and Daze. They don't know about Surgical yet. I'm going to waste this here because I have Ren in 6 churning through land drops, so that's like pretty low cost, but I don't want them to be able to shuffle off this Brainstorm without a little extra work. Alright, Brainstorm resolves. That does take me off the Hardcast Force I mentioned, but I can plus Ren, waste them again next turn. Though I think playing Fiery Islet and just having extra cards sitting in play is going to be worth more in this matchup than wasting them off 1 mana. So there's plenty of lines with Storm that can beat a Surgical Extraction. It's just I have to hope they don't have one of them. Decay my Goyf. Yep. So now the pressure's off, so I have to find another threat. Put that on top. I think I am just going to pay 4. I'm at 7. It's not going to take many goblins to kill me from here. Spell Snare, Wasteland, Brainstorm. None of these are threats, but Spell Snare can help me live another turn, and Brainstorm plus Library can find another threat. I hope. We'll see. I also got to watch out for this Surgical because I don't have black mana in my entire deck. Alright, so because of Surgical, paying 4 ever again is off the table. Put on top. Put on top. Alright, I found a threat. Take them off Abrupt Decay before I deploy said threat. So, how much, if at all, can I level this thing right now? I think I can give it 1 level. So that tells them that I have 2 things I want to spend mana on this turn. I only have 1, so it's kind of a bluff. But it doesn't take much. If they just have Tendrils in their hand, they're probably going to just win, because Storm only needs to be 3. Alright, cool. That's not what's happening. Alright. Definitely playing Islet now. 1, 2 makes it a 4/4. But now I can actually hardcast Force, so I'm just not going to level this thing. Oh, with Islet, I should actually start floating. Oh, that's sick. Okay, so I can Brainstorm to put Force of Will back on top of my deck, and then Islet to draw it, to dance around discard spells. Do I force this, I guess is the question. I don't think so. I mean, this Tendrils is lethal, but I can counter some number of the copies. Duress, huh? So I could Brainstorm here. I'm gonna do that. Oh, Nullrod. That is a card I'm interested in having in my hand. Hopefully I get another turn. So I put back Nullrod and Force of Will. Alright, so Force is on top. I can draw that as needed. That did give them another Storm, though. That's just another copy of Tendrils. I just have to hope that Tendrils isn't naturally in their hand. I can fight through most tutors at this point. And Ren can Emblem next turn, which just... I have a graveyard full of Force Negations and Spell Snares. So they kind of have to do it this turn if they're going to do it. Okay, it was just a natty little Duress. Alright, cool. So I can do the same trick again. So I'm not going to Ultimate Ren this turn. I'm going to get Fiery Islet back and keep Force of Will floating on top of my deck. Nullrod should seriously hurt their ability to do anything. This has been a really sweet game. Like, it's possible that they just have it at some point, but we've definitely done everything we can to be rug control over here. And Hexdrinker is becoming a 4/4 next turn. That's fine. I'm pretty well set up to fight this. Alright, they just backed it up. Too good. Alright, game 3. Ren was really good that game, but I don't think that means I want more of it. They saw basically every sideboard card I have, so... I'm not changing anything, though. My plan's going to stay the same. We're on the draw, and our hand is bananas. 2 counterspells, 2 threats, and Nullrod. Oh, they're on 5 over there. Kind of hoping they just go for it on 5. So I saw this crazy play at GP Atlanta where a Storm player against Rug, Storm was on the play, and they went turn 1, Underground Sea, Lion's Eye Diamond, Lion's Eye Diamond, Lion's Eye Diamond, cast Ponder, in response, sack the 3 LEDs for blue, black, red. So they just had 9 mana floating and Ponder on the stack, no cards in their hand on turn 1. And that seems crazy, but like at the same time, maybe it's perfect. Like if that makes sense. It's just like it doesn't, if your hand doesn't play through counterspells well and it's not getting any better, like just jam your thing on turn 1. And Jarvis had the force, so his opponent lost instantly, but there was a world where like if you pass the turn, you go from worrying about Force of Will and Force of Negation to worrying about Force of Will, Force of Negation, Spell Pierce, Spell Snare, Flusterstorm, Daze, Red Blast, like all of these things. Alright, so I can waste my opponent and play a second Delver. That's probably better than Null Rod. Oh wait, I can't play a second Delver. I should just... Alright, now I've already punted once. Let's make my attack and figure out what I want to do with the rest of this turn. I think I want to waste and leave a Pyroblast. Yeah, they're on 5. They bottom that Preordain. If I draw any other blue card, I'm just... Yeah, okay. So now I can play Hex Drinker and hold up Pyroblast. Which is what I should have done last turn. I did not check for blue cards before I just jammed my Wasteland into play. These 1-drops are so nice against Storm. Jarvis is smart. And as always, we could like still just easily lose at any point. Like this hand, if they just have a hand that can like duress and then ignore a Red Blast, they're gonna win. I'm gonna jam Null Rod this turn, which should take a lot of their options away. And if this Delver ever flipped, that would be great too. Alright, my one change from Jarvis's list. Let's see if it wins us this game. It's go time. Alright, basic island. By definition of how Magic the Gathering works, I can Red Blast any card that they cast off basic island. I guess they could have an artifact for all you ball busters out there. Alright, now we can level this Hex Drinker fearlessly. Maybe Delver will flip. Sylvan Library, no. Someday. So now I could just play Delver and hold up Force of Negation. That's probably my best play here. They've made it clear their hand doesn't function, so I just gotta push for damage. And now I have a fetch land to go with my Delver so I can get 2 peaks. Alright. Their hand must be just real bad or full of artifacts. Come on, Delvers, wake up. Red Blast, alright. We're back in this. Alright, you're at 3 with your 2 fetch lands. One of us is dead this turn. Guaranteed. Alright, it was them. Alright, a solid 4-1. We lost to Hogaak, which... Hogaak is basically designed to defeat these sort of fair decks. So that was Jarvis's rug deck. I like it. Just very good cards across the board. You could adjust your sideboard not to lose to Hogaak if you really wanted to. Like, you could play, like, 3 cages or whatever, but I don't think that's a good long-term strategy. Like, going wide against the big format. Like, we just happen to play against 4 graveyard decks, whatever. But deck is super sweet. Just Ren and 6, the dimension it gives, where you can play these long control games. Like, Rug Delver used to struggle a lot if it wasn't way ahead by the mid game, but Ren can just shut that door. So, I like this deck. I'm going to keep working on it. Thanks for watching. See ya.